our local economy. As Susan said, those are high-quality jobs. Renee mentioned that people can't afford to live in Roseville. Well, there's 126,000 of us that can, and I think when you start getting higher education jobs, professors, you're going to have more higher-paying jobs. You're going to diversify the economic base. You're going to diversify the economy. More educated people, a higher educated workforce. More businesses will come into town and stay here because they have the workforce that's educated that they need.
Okay, for our next question, we'll begin with Ms. Rohan. Even as a nonpartisan position in Roseville, you are a public official. We would like to know how you define yourself. Therefore, the question is, what political party are you registered with?
I am a registered Republican, probably not the very best Republican in the whole world, because I don't live in a partisan world. I've never known a sewer or a water treatment plant or a park or a building that had a party affiliation, and I just don't look at the world through a partisan view.
Dr. Herman?
I am not a member of a political party. I think they changed it from decline to state to something else. I look at each issue, each topic, and make what I believe is the best decision, in this case, for the city of Roseville. And if it's my personal life that's different, I'll make a decision for that. It's my business life. But as far as a council member, I'm going to take each issue and make the best decision for the city of Roseville and the citizens.
Mr. Aguilera?
Yes, back in the day, I would say in the 40s, when my parents came here, there were only about 6,000 people in Roseville, and most of them were Democrat. Then we, got more people in the 50s and the 60s. Biz Johnson was our congressman. He was a big-time Democrat. So my parents were highly influenced by the Democrats at the time that were on the city council, from Baron Reed to John Byoke to Mr. Bulljohn, to Gilbert Duran. So I am a Democrat. I'm a proud Democrat. I'm the only Democrat in the race, and there are no Democrats on the city council. So it'd be great to have one Democrat. And I'm also very involved with the schools in getting students to register to vote. I'm part of the South Plaza Voter Registration Outreach Project, where we reach every student that's going to turn 18 to register to vote. And we don't care if they're Republican or Democrat, decline to state, Libertarian. We just want them to vote, so that way they'll be able to be more civic responsible.
Okay, before we go to our next question, I only have 2 more questions before me. Does anyone else have another question they'd like to pose? Okay. So if you have some questions, raise your hands, and a volunteer will bring your questions down for us. Thanks. Our next question will begin with Dr. Herman. What is your current occupation, and how will that help you as a city council member?
I'm a general dentist. I am the managing partner of a group dental practice that has 8 general dentists, an orthodontist, a periodontist, and nearly 50 employees. Our operation is open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Monday through Friday, and on Saturdays. I have to make budget decisions. I have to make employment decisions. I have to decide what direction my practice is going in, and all those. And I'm a problem solver by nature, by education. And so that helps me on the council when we have to discuss a difficult issue and dealing with the city manager and the staff and my fellow council members.
Mr. Aguilera?
Being born and raised here in Roseville, I attended local schools, Kirby, Ike, Roseville High. My 2 brothers and I also attended Roseville High, and everyone in my family, we worked for the state. We graduated from UC Davis, and we started to work for the state. My brother just retired. After 40 years working for the state, my brother Adam just retired after 36, and I worked 20 years for the state of California. Through working to the state of California, I was an SEIU member, which is Service Employees International Union, and now my job is to go around and help candidates that are union friendly to run for office and hopefully win an office. And so I'm running some campaigns in downtown Sacramento, also in Elk Grove, and I'm helping some candidates that are in the Placer County area. And I also want to say that I also have the endorsement of the of the Sacramento Central Labor Council, which is probably about 25 unions, and I'm the only person that has that endorsement of the 4 candidates.
Ms. Rohan?
Could you please repeat the question?
Sure. What is your current occupation and how will that help you as a city council member?
Thank you. I have a public affairs consulting business, and it helps me greatly to be able to understand the importance of getting public input as the council is making decisions. My career spans several decades. I've worked predominantly in a corporate environment, having to do strategic planning and do budgets and work through issues. And so I also know how to solve problems and that you can't kick the can down the road. I bring that kind of expertise and familiarity with those sorts of issues to my role in the City Council.
Okay, for our next question, we'll begin with Mr. Aguilera. What city resources can be provided to help the homeless in Roseville?
Well, I'm very proud to say that my sister, who also graduated from Roseville High School, she's 71 years old. She works 4 days a week at St. Vincent de Paul. She also volunteers to drive. She also asked me to come help her to help the homeless. Of course, they are no longer available to come to Socksky Park. So now they're going to churches, which are private properties. So they go, a lot of the homeless now go to Abundant Life as well as the Methodist Church. I think that the homeless problem in Roseville is a severe one. Of course, we have the Gathering Inn, which is a special place that homeless people have to arrive there by 3 o'clock, which is on Main Street across from the Polish American Hall, so they can sleep in churches, not only in Roseville, but in Rancho Cordova and Citrus Heights, sometimes for a week or more. The problem of the homeless is one that I think that the city of Roseville can easily handle if they look at it at a more serious level and provide some funding for it. I already know that the county, and this we can thank Placer County Supervisor Jack Duran, is already, and Supervisor Wygant, is already proposing in the next budget to have a City of Hope. And the City of Hope will be to the left of the Santucci Justice Center. So I think there's some ideas that we can come up with, and I would be an advocate to make sure that we clean up our homeless problem in the city of Roseville, working with the county supervisors.
Ms. Rohan?
Could you repeat the question again, please?
You bet. What city resources can be provided to help the homeless in Roseville?
The city uses the police department in order to provide safety and security, not only for the neighborhoods where the homeless people frequent, but also to help protect them in their own environments. The city also works extensively and supports many nonprofits that do a great deal to help the homeless, and I'm very supportive of those efforts as well. I think that it's important that we stay on top of it. We owe this community a safe and secure environment, and I'm determined through our police department and through our work with our very valuable nonprofit partners, as well as the county with Health and Human Services, to deal with our issues.
Dr. Herman?
Well, the homeless issue that we have in Roseville, I don't believe, like Renee said, can be handled easily with some money. It's a very complicated problem. You have lots of different services, service providers trying to all fight for that little piece of money. And we need to have a more global look at how we can deal with this. There is a proposal in the county, and will that work? I think this is the first year that Susan and I have been on the council that we actually added money back into the budget because there was some more money this year. And tax revenues were up. The economy had turned around a bit, so we had some money to start looking at things. I think it is important that not only do we have our police officers making sure that the homeless people that do come into Roseville or that live in Roseville are safe, but that we make sure that we look at what other options we have. Having places to eat is great, but that doesn't necessarily get our homeless people off the streets. What can we do to get them off the streets if they want to be off the streets and get them so they can be productive members of society and feel good about what they're doing? If there's mental health issues, there's alcohol, substance abuse issues, lots of different issues that a lot of the different providers try to deal with individually. There isn't any one person that takes care of all those issues. And I think that's where we need to look at the future Placer County. Placer County, this is much more on Placer County's shoulders than the city. The city is one part of it, but this is a county service issue, and I think we need to make sure that we're working with our county supervisors, as we do have a good relationship with them, and to make sure that we're fixing the problem and finding a solution.
Okay, for our next question, we'll begin with Ms. Rohan. Does Roseville have a balanced budget?
Yes, we do have a balanced budget.
Yes, we do by law, and the city has been well run for many years. And during, when the city saw the economy going down in 2006, they started saving and cutting and cutting and cutting. And like I said, this year's budget, 2014-15, was the first time money actually went back into the budget, probably since 2006. And so our budget has always been balanced. Sometimes we had to do it with one-time money, but the budget is balanced. And going forward, we continue to balance it. We made some difficult decisions last year and making sure that we got the savings we needed, but the budget is balanced.
Mr. Aguilera?
If I were on the city council, and if it comes out again, I would have voted against a salary increase for top management. Any initiatives like that one would basically lead to the city council lacking in the area or ability to control costs. That initiative as drafted had too low of a maximum. And then if that would have been approved, I thought it would have hurt morale and the ability of Roseville to govern effectively. And if it were to come back to the city council, then it would be a tough decision, but I would vote no against it. Now, what Tim was referring to was the Roseville police officers that had some takeaways in their last bargaining. That's always a tough decision to do. Also, in the budget that is passed, I would add more money for Roseville libraries. We have 3 great libraries, the Martha Riley Library, the Maidu Library, as well as the Taylor Library. We need to extend the hours of the library system. Right now, it's only open from like 10 to 5, and on some days till 7, and some days it doesn't even open till 12 noon. So I would extend the libraries in that budget. And also, I would add, like I said, more monies to the neighborhood associations to get them rocking and rolling. We could give them a $1,000 to $5,000 grant and get them alive and kicking again, just like other cities do, where they give grants to neighborhoods to get them started to do newsletters and get barbecues and things of that nature.
For our next question, we'll begin with Dr. Herman. How would you define a great neighborhood and a great downtown?
They can be the same, or they can be mutually exclusive. A great neighborhood could be a suburban neighborhood, Diamond Oaks neighborhood, where you've got 15, 20 restaurants that you can walk to. You've got a great park that's used constantly. You've got different varieties of homes. You've got really old homes. You've got newer homes. You see people in the parks, people running on the streets, jogging, bike paths. Healthy, happy community. You can have a vibrant downtown that hopefully will also have some housing. Vibrant downtown is one that we program the town square, and when that programming done, it fills the businesses along Vernon Street. We have control now of the creek frontage from Lincoln all the way almost to Douglas, and we can get a nice river walk along Dry Creek, have mixed-use housing, different types, maybe some art galleries. All of that is going to show up downtown in Roseville. The sooner we can get it here, we get the University Center down on Vernon Street, so we have higher education. Maybe move the public library into a university center, so we have a university library, public library that keeps the libraries open longer and keeps more people on the street studying on the town square, going to the restaurants, just congregating and being here in a vibrant, healthy community.
Mr. Aguilera?
Yes, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. How would you define a great neighborhood and a great downtown?
Well, I think Roseville already has great neighborhoods. I think from, like I said, Kirby Hills to Crestmont to Diamond Oaks to Blue Oaks to my neighborhood, which is a great neighborhood, the Folsom Road Neighborhood Association. I like what Tim said about Ray's River, about possibly having, like a San Antonio where you have the and I say Ray because of our manager Ray Carriage, so we call it Ray's River. To have it, just streaming and have the restaurants and possibly some blended housing. But I'm not sure if that's going to happen in my lifetime. I mean, it's going to take a long time. Look how long it's taken for those turnabouts to happen. Bottom line is Roseville has some great neighborhoods. They just need some tweaking here and there. Downtown is looking good. Old historic Roseville is looking good for our 18 to 26-year-olds. If you go on any night, including Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, that parking lot is packed with people going to the Onyx, the Trocadero, the Old Mint, El Charro, Freddy's Pizza. It's just a great place to have people come in and have these great young people doing their thing. So bottom line is, I think Roseville's great, and it could be even better.
Ms. Rohan?
A great neighborhood is a neighborhood that's safe and secure for the people who live there. It's well maintained. The streets are in good repair. There's parks nearby. And it has the valuable services that families need in order to have the kind of life that they want to enjoy in this community. And we have that kind of balanced planning throughout our community. A great downtown is a downtown that has the tax base and the sales tax revenues that are popping, not in a decline. It has job opportunities for young people, entertainment opportunities, and is a place that attracts and becomes a place where all of the different neighborhoods in our community come together to interact and share and enjoy.
Our next question will begin with Mr. Aguilera. What should be done to improve code enforcement, particularly regarding absentee property owners?
Well, one of the bad things in my neighborhood is the area in the Folsom Road Neighborhood Association, which is across from the Clean Jumper. And there's a lot of apartments there, and there are a lot of absentee landlords that are there. It's gone so bad that a couple of years ago we had some, I'm not sure if it was drug people or gang people that needed to be out of there. So what we did was we did an abatement working with the city of Roseville, our neighborhood association. So there are definitely some areas that are needed to have absentee landlords take a look at some of these areas, so that way, we don't have our city of Roseville looking like Stockley Boulevard or Watt Avenue. So it is something important that we need to look at. And like Susan was saying, with the homeless, we need to work with the city of Roseville and the police department when there's absentee landlords that are not paying attention, and all of a sudden we have unscrupulous people coming to the city of Roseville and doing things, and the landlord just wanting to pay the rent. And of course, there's other times when an absentee landlord won't do any repairs, and there are residents or families that are living there, and they pay their rent, they work hard, and there's no improvements in the homes. So we definitely have to look at our absentee landlords in the city of Roseville. I don't think there's a lot of them, but I know across the street from Claim Jumper, there's a lot in that area. I think they call it the Roseville Greens.
Ms. Rohan?
Each year, the city council meets and develops a set of goals and objectives that they have reached conclusion will be good tracks for Roseville to follow. And we discuss and plan for those with our city staff. Last year, our council reached consensus that we need to put more into our code enforcement. And so later this month, we are going to be hearing some recommendations from staff based on an analysis of how we have done on code enforcement throughout the city. I'm not in favor of the council coming up with what the conclusions are. What I'm in favor of is the council listening to the community say that we need to do more in the way of code enforcement in our existing neighborhoods, and now look for our staff to come back and give us examples and suggestions on how we can do it. And then in our next budget cycle, we need to put our money where our mouth is.
Dr. Herman?
I think shortly after Susan and I got elected 4 years ago, we did change some of the code enforcement. We were able to take down some of the buildings that were partially built and left standing. If you recall, there was one in front of California Backyard that was just, had partially built. And so we did change some of those codes so that we could go in and get rid of, for safety reasons. We need to take a look at what we need and what the citizens want. There's a cost to it, and code enforcement is something that I don't think is done by the police department. It's done by a different department, because you can't be calling the police department when somebody's dog's barking, because that's breaking a code. So I think we have to be really clear and find out what is reasonable and what's practical, and find how much that's going to cost. And it all comes back to money. We have some huge budget issues that will be coming forth because of PERS costs that are coming down the pike. So we have to make sure that, yes, we have money, but that we don't spend more than we have.
Okay, for our next question, we'll begin with Ms. Rohan. What is the long-term plan for the Roseville Hotel and the Barker and the crime generated from them as it relates to a revitalized downtown?
Those buildings, to my knowledge, are in private ownership. One or the other may have gone into default, and so I'm not familiar with what that property owner or the holder of those properties has planned. But I can tell you that the goal is to see enough activity happening in our downtown area that generates the demand for more uses and turns more enterprises into the downtown, into successful businesses that not only are desired by the community, but also the entire Sacramento region. We'd like to see the downtown be a regional attractor.
Dr. Herman?
As Susan said, these are private entities, and there's only so much we can do. I know there were some issues that have been cleaned up as far as some code violations that have been taken care of. The real way we can get buildings to be something better is with redevelopment. There isn't any longer a state redevelopment agency, so the city formed the Roseville Community Development Corporation to help with that. And we've seen some of the fruits of those labor on Vernon Street with the streetscapes, offices above some of the retail locations on Vernon Street. We've got Sammy's Rockin' Island Bar and Grill back open. The Monk Cellar is going to open. We've got interest from other restaurants and establishments to come on Vernon Street. And as Vernon Street fills up, then it's going to have a pressure to move over into Old Town as well for something other than just the bars and the nightclubs. And I think that's going to put pressure, the economic pressure, to make those things change. Obviously, we want them safe. We don't want anybody doing illegal activities from any of our buildings. So I have confidence in our police department. If that's happening, they're going to be in there and stopping it.
Mr. Aguilera?
Yes, can you repeat the question, please?
Sure. What is the long-term plan for the Roseville Hotel and the Barker and the crime generated from them as it relates to a revitalized downtown?
I know about the Barker, which is an old historic Roseville, which is below the Boxing Donkey and the Irish pub bars. But when you said Roseville Hotel, is that just one thing, or what is Roseville Hotel / Barker Hotel?
It said the Roseville Hotel and the Barker. I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with
Okay,
it.
well, I can only talk about the Barker Hotel, which the Roseville Press Tribune, as you know, did like a 2 or 3 part series on the landlord and all the code violations and all the fact that he should have been, doing some repairs in there, but he did not do as many. So, bottom line is, this is kind of like another code enforcement question. Any hotels or any older hotels that we have, we definitely want to get them, fixed up. As Tim said regarding the development corporation, if the city can buy them and try and get some great tenants in there, that would be a good thing. And I'm also excited about a hotel, a conference center that's going to be coming in close to the Galleria as well. So this is a part of the tourism, of all the tournaments that are going on. We have a great sporting tourism in Roseville. Just this past weekend when I was precinct walking in Sun City, there was huge softball tournaments going on. And so that's a great thing for tourism. But regarding hotels, let's clean up those older hotels and bring some on, like the Hotel Conference Center.
I have one last question, and this time we'll begin with Dr. Herman. What sets you apart from the other city council candidates?
Well, first thing sets me apart from the other city council members is I'm the only man on the council at this point. But I think I'm the only doctor. I've got an advanced degree. I have been educated to be a problem solver. I'm very practical and pragmatic. I look to find a solution rather than a problem. And moving forward, I look forward to helping the city of Roseville continue to prosper and continue to grow.
Mr. Aguilera?
Well, like I've said before, I'm a people person, and I received 30,000 votes in my last successful election, and I'm a known name in Roseville, having been born and raised here. Also, I represent a whole segment of Roseville residents that don't feel they have a say or know anyone on the city council. I was born and raised in Roseville, and I believe I can add diversity to the council at a time it really needs it. Again, I'm a policy wonk, having graduated from UC Davis in political science public service, and I have 3 reasons why you should vote for me again. Because I have the most experience, 12 years, which is more elected service years than my 2 opponents combined. I have great constituent service knowledge, having been, again, 12 years on the city council. And I know how to bargain. I've bargained not only for 12 years on the Roseville City elementary school district and on the high school district, but as well as being on the bargaining unit of the Service Employees International Union, being a bargaining unit representative for the state against the state of California and Governor Brown, and bargaining representatives for over 80,000 state employees.
Ms. Rohan?
I've been sitting in city council meetings and meetings of the Board of Supervisors and dealing with state and federal regulation as a part of my business since about 1982. And it's given me a great deal of background in public policy related issues, helped me see a lot of things that have happened in the planning field that work and don't work. And since planning is such a key component of what has made Roseville successful, I think that background is one of the things that greatly distinguishes me.
Okay, now we'll conclude our forum with closing statements from each of our candidates. Each candidate will have 2 minutes, and we'll begin with Mr. Aguilera.
Well, thank you very much again, Renee Aguilera. There are 4 people that is on the ballot. I'm the last one on the list. So just look, and then hit your little pin and vote for the last person on the ballot, Renee Aguilera. Again, my priorities will be public safety, utilities and services, revitalization, quality of life, traffic relief, fiscal responsibility. As you know, I was born and raised in Roseville, went to all the schools here, Kirby, Warren TI, Roseville High School, Boys State, UC Davis. Myself and my two brothers were all student body presidents at Roseville High School. I'm currently a board trustee on the Roseville Joint Union High School District, again having received 30,000 votes and taking second place by 26 votes. That's why I'm asking you for your vote. I appointed Jack Duran to a Citizens Oversight Committee in 2002 and encouraged him to run for the high school board, which he won the second time, and then as supervisor. I'm also a former board trustee on the Roseville City Elementary School District for 10 years, from 2002 to 2012. I was appointed by the City Council to the Downtown Vernon Street and Historic Old Town Specific Plan Steering Committee. Also, I was appointed to the Centennial Celebration Committee. I've been a board of director of the Neighborhoods USA and conference coordinator of the 2005 Neighborhoods Concern Conference with 1,200 neighbors attending from 40 different states, and I'm a board of director of the Folsom Road Neighborhood Association and former board of director of the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Association. I'm the lone challenger, and I ask for your vote.
Well, thank you all for being here, and thank you for all your questions. I've been very honored to be on the council the last 4 years. I enjoy the work. I enjoy doing what we do as a council. I enjoy coming up with the policy decisions and making sure that our city manager and our city attorney implement those policy decisions in the best way possible. I think we've got a great city. Our police department, community policing, in the partnership with the neighborhood associations, our fire department, public works. People, I've seen the employees at the city of Roseville really care about what they're doing. They care about the city, they care about their jobs, and the energy that's in the city manager's office is something to really, you can feel it when you're in there. They're doing some exciting things. As Susan mentioned, the reason that Susan and Vice Mayor Garcia and the city manager went to South Africa was to meet with our investors that are looking to invest in a hotel conference center here that will give us an asset that will further improve our sales tax revenue. To get a potentially 10-story hotel and conference center with a major restaurant, it's going to be able to draw other activities and conferences to Roseville. We are working on developing a major sports complex, soccer, lacrosse, with Placer Valley Tourism. They just came in to do a T-bid so that we can they can actually fund it and pay for the bonds to build it. We'll have 14 to 18 soccer fields in the West Roseville. So I look forward to completing all these things that we've been working on in the last 4 years. I really would like your vote, and the big issues that are coming up are the PERS bills that are coming for the unfunded liabilities that were put on us by our predecessors, and we're not going to do that. I will not put any bills out that somebody else is going to have to pay.
Thank you. In a little over 2 short years, when incoming Mayor Carol Garcia and former Mayor Helene Mercucci are turned off the council, they'll be taking over 25 years of really stellar public service with them. Those people learned how to govern this community through a tremendous amount of change, an amazing transformation from a small suburb in the Sacramento region to a community that is known for its high quality of life and for its economic drive. This is a time when I think the community needs to decide whether or not it wants to stay on that same track and fill that experience gap with people who understand the formula for Roseville's success. I learned that formula on the private sector side, and I've practiced it as your mayor and your vice mayor in the first 2 years of my term. It's a formula that I don't intend to tinker with. I understand what has made Roseville successful, and I'm not going to be fooled by short-term gains that can lead to long-term pains for our community. I would be very honored to continue to serve you, to answer your needs, to consider your perspective as decisions are made, and look forward to serving you another 4 years with your support. Thank you.
Well, that concludes our forum for this evening. I'd like to thank the candidates for participating. Now let's give them a big round of applause. I would also like to thank all the volunteers who have made this forum possible, and especially thank the Roseville Coalition of Neighborhood Associations for arranging this forum, and Standout Talent for letting us use this wonderful facility. This forum has been designed to impart information to you, the voter, in accordance with our belief that a democratic government depends upon the informed and active participation of its citizens. We hope that the insights that you have gained from this forum will aid you in making your decision. Please remember to vote on December 4th and help make our democracy work. Thank you.
I'd also like to have everybody